Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of the Cartridge and Disc Podcast. Thank you once again for joining me. Make sure you like and subscribe so you get all these episodes. Today, we're talking about Steam cracking down on games with AI generated art, right? And here's what we know so far. I am going to quote from the Economic Times. I'll put a link down below, right? Because this is probably the most concise, more well thought out article that I've read. And, Steam, just like any other business, has to protect itself, from unwarranted liabilities, right? From things that they shouldn't have to worry about, especially when it's due to simple things. And, right now they do have the best platform out there for delivering PC gaming, in my opinion, right? And many other people's opinion. That's why they are the market leader. So let's get going here. And Valve, the company behind the popular online game platform Steam, appears to be preventing the publication of video games that utilize AI-generated art assets. It was claimed on a recent Reddit post with a developer sharing their experience of Valve rejecting their game due to the use of AI-generated assets. Another Reddit user also reported a similar issue on January 29th. A developer shared their experience on Reddit discussing on how Valve requested evidence for their ownership rights for the artwork generated by an AI algorithm. According to the developer, Valve stated that they could not release the game with AI-generated assets unless the developer could confirm ownership of the intellectual property used to train the AI. This response from Valve appears to be a standard policy. The developer attempted to manually modify the AI-generated artwork, but Valve remained unsatisfied and ultimately rejected the game for the second time with no further chances of resubmission. Guys, this is going to be standard policy moving forward, not only with art, but with other assets. Intellectual properties in video games and in any other realm, especially here in America, are very serious things that you have to be careful with, especially if you're going to use it for video games that are going to sell millions and millions of dollars or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Because the trouble with the company in policing this stuff could be immense. Just the cost alone of them getting sued, right? Of them having to police all this. It's better to have a standard policy where you have to show that you're the owner of any intellectual property that's being used on the game, and as a standard policy, issue something to the effect of saying, hey, you have to own all the assets of the game that you are promoting or selling. You just have to, right? And if that's not the case, you can't sell the game on here, because the economic damage that could be done by, unscrupulous actors, let's just say, or somebody that's just trying to hide something, could be immense. Right? Because somebody can come back and sue you after the fact and claim all kinds of damages. Nobody wants that kind of headache, right? And this is a brand new area in business, which is, for the most part, unregulated, right? And any serious company is going to take this into consideration because AI is very easy to use, right? For a lot of people, especially people that are trying to cut corners. Any idiot like me could just go and ask AI, hey, listen, I want you to reproduce this game and just change it a little bit, change this and that and the other, or just change the color, or, and I'm being oversimplistic, of course. But I could produce a game based on something else, not tell the company, and submit it as my own work, right? Then make some money, and then all of a sudden I take my money and I go home. I'm a small developer. They're not going to go after me, right? They know that I'm not going to have the wherewithal to pay them back huge damages. But whoever's selling the game, right, whoever that storefront is, probably does have deep pockets. And that's who they usually go after. And Steam has to do everything, and I mean absolutely everything, to protect themselves. And that's where these developers using AI are going to run into trouble, right? They're going to have to prove that not only do they own that, artwork or whatever they're trying to submit, but they also own the intellectual properties that went into the AI to create such things. And, that's probably going to be the standard policy going forward with anybody that wants to commercialize this. AI is going to have a profound, and I mean a very profound change in the industry. But intellectual properties is something that we're going to have to deal with, because you have, artists already saying, for example, I'm going to sue anybody that uses my voice, my images, whatever. For example, like Ice Cube. Ice Cube said, went right for the jugular and said, I'm going to sue anybody that uses my voice, for example, right? And other artists, right? Anybody that produces original work has the same right to do that, right? People can't use your image if it's a popular image. You know what I'm saying? So the type of cases you're going to have out there, and again, this is not financial or legal advice in any way, right? But usually what happens is when you sue for damages of somebody using your image, for example, it depends on how big your image is, right? If they use my image and, I'm not a nobody, what damages am I going to claim, right? If Kentucky Fried Chicken wants to use my image, for example, and I challenge it. If anything, they're doing me a favor, right? But if I use Kentucky Fried Chicken's intellectual property or Nintendo's or anybody else's, of course, right? Of course that I'm gaining a benefit from doing that. So it's going to be real interesting here coming up in the future to see how companies deal with this, with a lot of independent game studios wanting to rely on this technology to make game development faster. The bigger studios, I don't think are going to have a problem because they have the money to generate those type of assets, right? They have the money to spend on the AI, and they have the money to spend on the workforce that's going to take to do that, or at least hire an outside firm to handle those kind of things, right? But for smaller creators, that is going to be a challenge, right? They're just not going to be able to rely on AI to produce, the games that they want. They're actually going to have to do some work here. But it looks like Steam is the first one to crack down on this new AI, game development. And right now it's just the artwork. I'm sure they're going to go into other facets of it, and I'm sure their contracts are going to specifically have clauses for a lot of these developers not to use AI in order to, clone or mimic or use other people's intellectual property. That is coming down the line, but I'm sure something got through already, guys. I'm waiting for the first lawsuit right now of, one developer suing another for using X, Y, or Z program. Who knows? Who knows? At this point, it's still the Wild West out there, but Steam is taking the first steps in order to protect themselves, as well they should. Again, guys, I'm going to put a link down below so you guys can read the article. It's a very short article, but it's pretty concise. Guys, thank you for joining me. Please hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. It really does help me a lot. Thank you so much for joining me once again, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.